Hello and welcome to Carp Fishing Tactics. Now what we're going to do today is I'm just going to run through a couple of combi rig knots to use. These two basic types that I use, and what I like to use is basically because you can tie nylon to a braid and then another one to tie nylon to a nylon. And the nylon to nylon is quite useful because you can get nice fluorocarbon at different breaking strains, so you can have a nice stiff boom first and then you can have a nice supple section, plus they're both virtually invisible on sort of hard ground. So I'll quickly run through the first one. Very simple. So here we have two pieces of mono. This is black amnesia and it's quite thick. It's 25 pound breaking strain and here's a 12 pound normal monofilament line. So I'll show you this knot quickly. I'll show you in very basic form so you can get the idea, and then I'll show you practicality, what you have to do, you know, tips and hints. So what you do, just get the two side by side, and so you've got overhanging on the one and overhanging on the other side. Give yourself plenty of space, it's quite useful, and then basically form a loop with the two of them as if you're going to do a granny knot. Then simply do a granny knot once through and then just continue with the same process. So that's twice through, 3 times, and then one more, and that's 4 times. So it's a basic loop with the two of them, and then you just go through it 4 times and then start pulling it down, but then as it starts to come down, keeping it all in line and keeping it all straight, obviously soak it well, nice moisture, and then pull together and pull the whole lot. Now the knot will look untidy at first, but that's because you've got a thick mono going onto the thin mono. So obviously the thin mono tends to crunch down and butt up nicely, but the thick one tends to look tangled, but it's not, it's okay. What you have to do then is then tease it down in each section. So you've got the two long ends, pull that one onto that one. I like to use my tooth on this, but not too hard, just to start teasing it down a bit, and pull that one onto that one, and you'll start to see that the knot starts to come down and it butts up nicely. Right, tease it all down, and then you can just trim off the tag ends that you don't want. Nice and short. There's one, and that's the thick one. There's 2, and then you're left with a solid knot. Sometimes I like to put a bit of glue on that, because what it does, the glue covers parts of the gaps and the tag ends and that, so it stops it from rolling over. So now this is one I did earlier just to show you. Now I've actually used this one in a fishing situation, so as you can see I've had a little bit of putty that's gone into the knot, which is good because it smooths the knot over. It's like putting a bit of glue on after you've done it, it smooths over, and then I'll put a bit of putty on and it just gives it a little bit of weight. But then it's also a good point to put the putty on there. So if I just zoom in to that one, and then hopefully you can see it much clearer. And then, so that's the knot. You might not be able to see it very well, but that's the knot there. Let's hope we get a good focus on it. but they're all on the website anyway. There'll be stuff shown on the website, so that's it done, and it's been used, it's been tested, and obviously you really need to test these knots really well before using them. Last thing you want to do is end up with a fish. You finally get a run, you end up with a beautiful fish, probably your personal best, and then the knot fails. So it's always best to test it before gluing it. I think it's best to test it, because then if it works without gluing it and it's very strong, then you know the glue is just going to make it that little bit stronger. But look, as you can see, oh no, the knot didn't break, the hook's pulled. So you can see the knot's very strong. That's probably because I've used it and it's weakened it, but just shows you there. It's probably the reason why always best to do fresh rigs when you go fishing. But look, the knot hasn't bust, so the knot's solid. That's probably because I've used too thin a mono as well on that, and it hasn't lasted. So, but one of the tips I will say about that knot, the 4 overturn knots, is when you're doing your Hooklink side, you're much better off tying it with your hook already on there. That's if you're going to tie your hook with a knotless knot. Yeah, so if you're doing a knotless knot and you're putting the shrink tube on and you're bringing out for your hair rig on the hook and all that, it's best to do all that section first, but leave it extra long, so you've got plenty of room to play with, because then you can sort of gauge, as you're bringing the loop down and about to tie it, you can gauge and manipulate the size and the length of the actual the supple section. Yeah, see, like that, I've just done that one, and that one stops there. If you can see, if I zoom in again, and what you'll see the amnesia black there, look, and the little knot. And what I've done on this one is I've done it extra long, and then if you tie it any other way, if you're tying your hook on in any other way, what you can do is do it that way first, and then you can always tie this to a swivel after. You can put a loop on it so it's quick change, and then just obviously tie your hook on this end, the supple end, any way you want. So that's the basic knot. That's strong as hell. It's very good. Again, it's always best to glue it, don't forget. And that's the first knot.